Today we're talking about the Anbernic RG405M, a metal handheld that wants to compete directly with the popular Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and Retroid Pocket Flip. This is a $170 portable device that uses the Unisoc T618 chipset, and Anbernic has created this device in such a way that it is a major upgrade on its popular RG405M. But at a time when handheld computers are springing up by the thousands, is this the one I think you should buy? Let's check it out. Comparing it with the popular RG405M, we can see that Anbernic has made some very obvious upgrades to this device. Firstly, the shell has been redesigned, moving away from square corners and instead opting for a more rounded approach that makes it a little more comfortable and gives it an aesthetic similar to that of the Game Boy Advance. Due to the increased size, they've added a 4-inch IPS touchscreen with a resolution of 640 by 480, making it the perfect 4:3 ratio for playing most of their retro games. Although the screen is big enough to play large consoles like the PS2 and small enough to look portable, it's not the best screen I've ever seen. The specifications of this device are very similar to what we've seen in other handhelds in the past, so there's nothing really new here. This kind of computing power usually emulates games as far back as PlayStation 2. So, to cut to the chase, can it really emulate PlayStation 2 games? Yes, most of them, even though PS2 games aren't designed for 4-inch screens. The RG405M does a great job of ensuring good frame rates at native resolution. There's very little configuration and few problems with audio or crashes. Don't get me wrong, it's not the smoothest experience and there are some games that run poorly, but it's good enough to play for hours on end without worrying about it. At least it does better than many other handhelds. For example, God of War pushes the console to its limits for sure. You'll find the odd frame drop every now and then, but it's still a lot of fun, so to be honest, it's not a portable. Just play the best PS2 games without testing them or thinking it might not perform well. It's better to see the PS2 as a bonus. The same goes for GameCube and Wii games. It works well with most games out of the box, but will require you to do some button mapping and tweaking by accessing the emulation settings, but this is very easy to do. You'll find bigger games that will be a hit and miss in terms of emulation quality. Smaller consoles such as PSP, Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance, and the best SNES games will work perfectly here, especially on the larger 4-inch screen, and so it should be with these kinds of specifications. That sounds repetitive, doesn't it? Let's move on. One big upgrade was the battery life. It's easily usable for around 6 hours of life on a charge, and that's when playing some pretty demanding games. If you're playing smaller, less intensive games, you can dramatically increase this time, which is impressive. Well, Anbernic has taken a risk here and made a lot of significant updates to the device since the previous RG405M, which has honestly done well for Anbernic again. This is a really great device. It's not perfect, but no handheld is. At this point, I choose it over the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus based on the reviews. So, let the games begin and more better devices come our way, right? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing and see you next time. Take care.